From Don Carter's Kendall Lanes in Kendall, Florida, it's the Heineken Open, the 20th of 22 Open Division qualifiers of the Brunswick World Team Challenge. 72 teams from Florida and the southeastern United States are participating here at the Heineken Open on the Brunswick World Team Challenge. Hello again, everybody. Great to have you with us. I'm Mike Jakubowski, along with Hall of Famer Earl Anthony. And Earl, the proprietor here at Kendall Lanes, Don Carter, pretty much put team bowling on the map.
No question about that, Mike. Don Carter, back in the 50s, a member of the outstanding Budweiser team, who set everything up for the rest of us to enjoy this game. If it wasn't for people like that, we wouldn't be here.
Which brings us to South Florida and an interesting field, and on the top of the field we have a local team, Strike Zone Pro Shop.
This is an outstanding group of young players, and the youngest player I think we've ever had, 17 years old, is bowling anchor for him. So look for this team to be basically inexperienced as far as television go, but look for them to be tough because they're young, they're strong, they're tigers, and they're going to go after it.
But first, an exciting semifinal match coming up. Our number 2 qualifier is Abba, Treb De Fox, Pollard's Bowl.
And when you talk about experience, our last 2 teams have plenty of that, especially this one. They've got 3 seconds already this year on the World Team Challenge. They've got a 3rd, they've got a 5th, they've got a 4th. They've been just about everywhere but first, and that's what they really want bad. And with the Pollard boys leading the way and Don Scudder bowling anchor, this should be a real strong team.
And an interesting mix of talent on our number 3 qualifier, Paramount Industries.
Well, this is an interesting mix. They've got some guys here that you've seen on television before, like, of course, Paul Moser, one of the outstanding left-handed bowlers in the country for a number of years, a U.S. Open former winner. Of course, the Hall of Famer, Bob Hart, Mr. Congeniality himself, and a great entertainer. So we'll see if they can do that today. But the winner of that opening match should be one heck of a challenge for our leader, Strike Zone.
Exciting team bowling competition coming up on the Brunswick World Team Challenge. It's the Heineken Open.
It's a tank.
A dancer.
It's off the charts.
It's on target.
Concrete.
A theory. Ruthless, only meaner.
It's there in the 10th frame. Perfect symmetry. It's a partner.
A hero. A scapegoat.
It's war.
And peace. It's a Brunswick ball.
For any lane. It's a habit.
When it comes to making quality bowling shoes, no company does it better than Linz. And now Linz has designed an entirely new approach with the Classic Extra. The Linz Classic Extra offers the ability to change the sliding characteristics of both the sole and the heel, providing virtually unlimited options. If you find the approaches are a bit slick or tacky, the Classic Extra enables you to compensate by simply replacing the color-coded slide inserts. Don't settle for anything less than the best. Classic Extra from Linz. Right, why is bowling my favorite sport? No matter how bad a shot you throw, you never lose your ball, and it always comes back to you. There are never any rainouts, and striking out's a good thing. Bowling allows me to keep up with old friends, and also it gives me the opportunity to make new ones. It's a lot easier to hit one pocket than it is 6. I don't have to set up my own pins or keep my own score anymore. Everyone's a winner when you take the family bowling. Join in the fun. Take the family bowling this week.
The Brunswick World Team Challenge is brought to you by the American Bowling Congress and the Women's International Bowling Congress, providing championship service to sanctioned leagues across the United States. Make sure your league is sanctioned by the national governing bodies. By Contour Power Grips, the pioneers of the finger grip industry. More pros choose Contour Power Grips. You should too. By Linz Shoes. For the performance approach, it's American-made Linz Shoes, the choice of top professionals and amateurs alike. And by Brunswick. Bowling is sold on Brunswick worldwide.
Welcome back to Don Carter, Kendall Lanes, Paramount Industries, Abba, Treb De Fox, Pollard's Bowl. Ready to go in our semifinal match. We are bowling on lanes 31 and 32 here at Kendall Lanes. And leading off for Abba, Treb De Fox is David Welage. Crossing over, leading the 5.
Not a bad opening shot when you consider everything. You can see that he's kind of surprised the ball actually hooked that much. The middle of lanes here seem to be very difficult to play. The ball wants to hook early, and what's happened is that we haven't seen a lot of big splits for that reason. The bowlers line up, they hit the pocket, the ball hooks, it hooks a lot, so it crosses the head pin as his ball.
Is that Jello ball picking up the spare?
Jello or yellow? Which is it?
Jello.
Jello.
Looks like an orange Jello cube going down there.
There you go.
All right, Paramount Industries open up with Ed Roberts, 1995 member of Team USA. A lot of experience on top in this order. And solid for Roberts.
And you know what happens when you bowl on Team USA? You learn to adjust to a lot of varying lane conditions. They really work hard at their game and they practice a lot. And that was a good idea of why he's bowling leadoff, because he can keep the ball in play.
All that at the tender age of 54.
Just a baby.
Here's Rick Pollard for Abba Treb De Fox. Coming back and striking. The starting lineup is brought to you by Contour Power Grips, pioneers in the finger grip industry. More pros use Contour Power Grips. You should too. Welage, Pollard, Ron Pollard, Derwin Pitre, and Don Scudder anchoring for Abba Treb De Fox. Now for Paramount, here's ABC Hall of Famer Bob Hart. Bit short. And the Contour Power Grips starting lineup for Paramount is Roberts, Hart, Keith Butt, Stephen Dale Jr., and Paul Moser will anchor.
You know, I was talking to Bob Hart. He said he was going to try playing an outside angle, and then he said, well, once we get over there, I'll probably play inside because he's just a little more confident there. Bob there with his opening shot that didn't get quite the ball reaction he wanted, but he's got them all in a bunch. He should be able to hit this very good.
And now we move to the third frame for Abba Treb De Fox as we get our first look. This is Ron Pollard. And the 3 and the 8 on his shirt will indicate that he will bowl in the 3rd and 8th frames in this Baker team game. Coming up short with a bucket.
There's a look at the man, Don Carter. This is a legendary bowler, I'll tell you what. He's one of the owners here at Don Carter Lanes, obviously, and team bowling, you mentioned it earlier, Mike, it comes back to the roots, go back to the Budweisers and teams like that, Herman Undertakers, and those kind of the good old days back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and when team bowling was really big, and Don Carter helped make that happen. And of course, the American Bowling Congress carrying that tradition on through the World Team Challenge in the Baker system.
Very nice conversion for Ron Pollard, as filling the frames here in the Baker system is certainly a prerequisite for success. Keith Butt, 3rd frame, first of 2 in the Baker system. Baker match consists of 2 games, total pins. After game 1, they'll turn around and bowl on the opposite lane, and the winner of that match will face our tournament leader, Strike Zone Pro Shop.
Good solid game here. He doesn't like the results he got, but you know, we didn't have good scores here anyway. We had a very competitive event. We might have mentioned earlier that of the top 10 teams, only 98 pins separated the team in first from the team in 10th in the qualifying, which is 6 games of normal team bowling, and the top 10 advance to match play. Total pins for those 6 games, and then they bowl 10 2-game Baker matches, and we're down to our top 3 after that, including bonus pins and all that good stuff, Mike.
And one of the most exciting Baker match plays we've seen, the 10 teams that moved on from our initial field of 72, from 1 to 10, Earl, it was 98 pins from top to bottom.
It was incredible. I just I stood there and watched that, and it was hard to believe, which gave the opportunity for Strike 10, which is our tournament leaders, to move from 9th to 1st. That doesn't happen very often. They made a tremendous move from 9th to 1st, but basically it was so close. It was only like a 2-game match apart from 1st to 10th.
Derwin Pitre coming up a bit short.
We'll take another look at that last shot. Now, he's trying to get the ball away from the middle of the lane by throwing it to the right, where that's where the hooking area is. But once you get it out past that area, then you're basically in and out of bounds. So he thought he'd made a pretty good shot. The ball skidded a little longer than he expected it to, and it couldn't get back to the head pin. This is not an easy spare on this lane condition. He has to be careful. And that's the reason. It'll either hook hard or it'll hang and not hook at all. And he thought he'd covered it, but unfortunately didn't quite get back.
Why not throw a straighter type shot in that situation?
Well, that would make sense, but most of these guys don't know really how to throw it that straight. He had switched balls, gone to a spare ball, and just didn't get the reaction he expected. They've been doing this for 3 days, so they're pretty familiar with what's going to happen out there. This is a game of attrition, you might say. Whoever can fill frames, we've talked about that a million times, Mike, the team that can fill frames, and you know, in Kansas City we saw what happens if you don't fill frames. All these teams that you're going to see today, all 3 teams have good spare shooters. They make good shots, and they're very, very much into wanting to win this event. Running out of opportunities for these teams to qualify for Reno.
Stephen Dale Jr. on the spare, and a 10-pin lead here in the early going for Paramount. Hey, here's a guy you'd love to bowl with and against in terms of intensity. You want this man to have the ball in the 10th frame. This is Don Scudder.
I want him on my team. I don't want to bowl against him. I don't want to give him a chance to beat me either, because Scudder will do that to you. The more intense the situation, the better he plays.
And a light 10 for Scudder. As we take a look at our high games for the week, Rex's hairstyling with 1095, Pokey's Pro Shop 1093, Keith Phoenix out of Wauchula, Florida 1088, and LBJ Enterprises checking in at 1084. Out of those high games, 277 for Dean Galhouse. Ed Deatley checking in at 268.
Well, a great opening shot there by Scudder. Didn't carry the 10 pin. You see the little wide grin on his face. He comes back and looks at his teammates. He's very happy with that. Another player that was inside, outside, playing outside the second arrow, Don Scudder, moved inside, as you saw there.
Paul Moser qualifying at 208 on series of 600 and 649 in that 6-game qualifying division before moving on to match play.
Paul is always one of the better left-handers on the PBA Tour for a number of years. Not a real winner, but always up there, close. And we look at some more high scores, and these are the high series, 3-game series for some of the players. Steve Farmer leading the way out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida with 703.
That's a well-earned 700, the only one in qualifying.
Here's some high averages. That means for the 6 games of qualifying, this is what they averaged. 226 leading the way.
Very tight field. And we'll be back with more of our semifinal match at the Heineken Open right after this. Welcome back to Don Carter's Kendall Lanes. Dave Welage. His father owns Abba Plastics, family-owned business.
Oh, what a great adjustment there. Excuse me, Mike. Remember last time that the ball didn't get the reaction he expected. This time he made a great adjustment. A little more ball speeders. Look at it playing right around the 4th arrow. A little bit of side spin to get the ball down the lane, and it's rolled up real good on the end.
6th frame for Paramount.
That again comes back to experience, and also opening jitters might have something to do with the first shot. 2 games, total pins to determine the winner. There you go.
Roberts on the cross. That's 2 strikes for him.
Here's another look at that last shot. And again, remember I mentioned how the middle of the lane tends to hook. Well, he got this ball a little left of his target, and he had no chance, because if you miss just a little bit, it's going to immediately react to what's out there. And that's what makes it such a testing condition. That's what makes the team challenge so much fun to play.
Strike up for Abba. Treb De Fox. Pollard can get the lead back for Abba with the strike. And there it is.
2 very experienced teams. A lot of talent on both these teams. You can look again at Pollard. These guys can all bowl. They're all very good players. They're all good spare shooters, but more importantly, they're really competitors. They're not going to back off from anybody, and here's a real competitor right here in Bob Hart.
Hart can turn the seesaw back to Paramount's favor with a strike. And a nice shot tripping the 4.
It's not a happier man in the building right now than Bob Hart, because he's very tentative out there. He's trying to really place the ball and be careful. He feels like he's got to almost split hairs to get the ball in the pocket, and he was very happy with that. Great shot.
And speaking of team bowling, he really made his due back in the Detroit area on great teams there.
No question about it. Bob, always one of the great team bowlers. Stowe's team back then was an outstanding, very challenging team for teams anywhere in the country. They were outstanding. They actually did tours around the country.
Crossover for Ron Pollard takes the lead back to Abba Treb De Fox. And you can just see how into it this Abba Treb De Fox team gets. They're off the bench every shot. A lot of excitement out there in that team and in this type of competition as well.
Maybe we can get our sponsors, Heineken, to go out and put a team together and travel around the country, and we'll sponsor, we'll sell some Heineken beer for them. How's that?
Let's soon see how fun and exciting this type of competition is as Keith Butt extends to a three-bagger for Paramount. The lead seesawing back and forth.
Here's another look at that shot, and you can see where he's playing, right between the third and fourth arrow with a lot of heavy roll on the ball. And the good result, you can see him running it out, and there's Ed up off the bench to help him out, Ed Roberts.
Solid strike. 4 in a row for Abba Treb De Fox.
Still got a shot at the 240 and the what is it, Mike?
It's the high score bonus brought to you by the High Roller Tournament Series. Both teams are eligible to receive a $500 bonus for each TV Baker game of 240 and over, and each TV Baker series of 450 and over. Dale with a baby.
Well, that's a lot better than it could have been. It's a pretty easy spare for these guys, and the idea is to fit the ball between the two pins and deflect into the 10. But you have to be careful again with the middle of the lane wanting to hook, the outside of the lane wanting to skid. So hard and straight is the rule of thumb on a shot like this. Stand left and try to deflect it off the 3-pin into the 10. Hard and straight. Just like, oh, it didn't deflect enough. A little too much of the 3-pin. And a break in the match here for Abba Treb De Fox. Another look at it, you see the ball doesn't deflect enough. And a very disappointed look on the young man's face there. It wasn't to be, but here's the man of the hour, a chance to really put his team in position to take a big lead after this opening game, this 2-game match. Don Scudder.
7th time he's made it to the final here on the team challenge. The light, 4-5.
He liked it too. He liked it when he let go of it. He thought it was going to roll up a little heavier than that. It just kind of got it down the lane a little too far before it went into a roll, and couldn't quite make it back. Speed control so important in Don Scudder's game. In other words, if he's a little too hard or a little too soft, he can get in a lot of trouble. But generally, he's right on. Here, tough spare. He's going for the spare ball. Wants to get all 3 pins with the ball. Almost. Almost. I like the look he gets on his face once in a while. He is priceless. A great storyteller also, Don Scudder. He likes to tell stories, and he's good at it. A very entertaining young man. I say young at 43. Anybody's young to me.
That's still 7 years away from the senior tour.
See how touchy it is in the middle of the lane right there. Now remember the first ball he threw just a minute ago, didn't quite get back. This one he gave it just a little more RPM, you might say, and the ball hooked early across the head pin. So they're very touchy. And in talking to Paul Moser here, the anchor man for Paramount, I asked him what they were like for him on the left side. He says they're very touchy. There is an out of bounds. I've got to be very careful. And he says I'm just trying not to get any rotation on the ball and throw it hard. That's what happens. You get any kind of rotation, the ball either hooks or it skids by the head pin, so you have to be very careful. It's a very trying lane condition. Only one team of our 72 teams here averaged 200 for the qualifying, and that was just barely 200, 201.
That's right. And to qualify for Baker match play, you needed a 197.9 average to make the top 10. Back-to-back opens on splits for Paramount. But a 190 game, it's 211 to 190. We'll turn things around in bowl game 2 in our semifinal match after this.
I've won 23 PBA titles and 2 ABC Masters with Contour Power Grips. They're my choice. Don't you think they should be your choice?
That's a winner, folks. performance by Ernie Schlegel.
You know, Earl, I never really thought I had anything in common with you until I won the ABC Masters title.
Ah, but Ernie, I won the Masters twice.
But Earl,
And Ernie, I've won 46 times on the PBA tours.
But Earl,
And I'm also been elected to both the ABC and PBA Halls of Fame.
Okay, enough. I get the picture.
Well, there is one thing we do have in common, Ernie.
We
both use contour power grips.
And they give me the feel I want shot after shot.
That's right, and they have the styles and colors that can make anybody's game better.
Contour power grips will also help me win my second Masters title, too.
Yeah, Ernie. Contour Power Grips, manufactured by the pioneers in the finger grip industry, Pro Sports Systems. More pros choose Contour Power Grips. You should too. Ask your Pro Shop professional for Contour Power Grips.
So you have nothing to say?
No.
You have nothing to say to me?
Sorry.
Fine.
Mike Jakubowski and Earl Anthony with you here at Don Carter Kendall Lanes. First frame, game 2. 211-190 in favor of Abba, Treb De Fox. And Paramount needs to make up 21 pins in this game.
There's a ball really never had a chance. When that left its hand, it was going left, and then it appears that the left lane is hooking a little more than the right lane, which made it even worse. Here's another look at it, and watch the ball. When it leaves his hand, it's going left. It really never had a chance to hold the pocket. And his reaction was, wow, but, you know, that wasn't a good shot. There's no question that Dad made a mistake there. Tough spare, he missed it. Unfortunately for their team, they're the ones that need to make up some pins, and that's not a good way to get started.
And back to the top of the order for Abba, Treb De Fox, Pollard's Bowl. As we mentioned earlier, Abba is a plastics company owned by the Welage family. And Treb De Fox is a sports bar in the Cincinnati area. Treb is David's father. Crossing over for the strike.
Bert? See how I figured that out? That's pretty good.
That's good, Earl. And the De is for Ed, another partner. And the Fox is a third partner.
That's the wife, Fox, right?
I believe so.
Okay. All right, here's Big Bob Hart. Bob got away with one. Remember, this left lane appears to be hooking more. The player's playing the center of the lane, basically because of the out of bounds outside the second arrow. You see Bob playing right around the fourth arrow. Afraid to give the ball too much room to the right, thinking it may not come back. And actually, just aim at the middle of the head pin, hope it goes one side or the other, and you get a break. And that's what Bob did.
Here's Rick Pollard, co-owner of a bowling center with Ron.
There being the problem, if you get inside of the dry area, which he is, and try to give the ball a lot of room and get it back, you have to be perfect with your ball speed. If you're a little bit too fast or too hard, the ball will skid by. A little softer ones will hook early. Here's some lifetime stats for Rick Pollard.
12 Baker games, only 3 opens in his lifetime appearances.
A lot of strikes.
Yes, 12 Baker games, 11 strikes, 5 years of competition here on the Brunswick Opening Challenge. And a spare. The lead remains at, looks like we've got 32 pin lead for Abba, Treb De Fox. So we get a look at Keith Butt. Impressive resume for a younger bowler, only 20 years old. He is a 6-time gold medal winner at the 1996 Tournament of Americas. And back in 1994, Coca-Cola National Youth Individual Champion.
You know, it's amazing, those 6 gold medals, that's all you can win. So he won everything he was in. That's incredible.
And putting a double together, cutting the lead at 22 for Paramount.
Here's another look at the style of this champion, and you can see how much he puts at the bottom of the swing. Tremendous wrist rotation, real heavy roll on the ball. It's kind of surprising he can be that consistent with his release when he does that much at the bottom. Generally, when you overreact with your hand or wrist at the bottom, you lose control of the ball.
And Ron Pollard on the strike. For Abba, Treb De Fox, we'll be back with more of our semifinal match. Fourth frame from Don Carter, Kendall Lanes, here in Kendall, Florida. just southwest of the Miami area. Computer programmer Stephen Dale Jr. bowling in the 4th frame for Paramount Industries.
And they need some strikes. Right through the middle of the head pin, and his reaction was, wow, that ball really hooked. What it's going to come down to, and it almost always does, is the last 5 frames. There's another look at that, and his reaction, you can see the wow. The ball just hooked so much he couldn't believe it. He thought he made a great shot, which he probably did, but didn't expect that kind of backhand out of the ball, that much hook. When the ball hooks that much in the back, it usually means it's hooking a little earlier than you expected it to. Friction is sooner on the lane or closer to the foul line, and that gets the ball into a heavy roll and then it wants to hook.
We're in game 2 of our opening semifinal match. Here's Derwin Pitre's lifetime stats: 4 Baker games, 5 strikes, only 1 open. Pitre is 28, finished 3rd in the 1993 High Roller, and that event is coming up very soon on this regional sports network. Defending champion David Keel.
Well, the spares aren't getting any easier. Here, the 2-8, and again, you want to cover both pins with the ball. Not a bad idea to stay with the same ball, the strike ball, which he's doing, and just move your feet a board or so to the right, throw it at your strike target, and the ball should come up. You don't want to get in front of that 2-pin. You want to get it from behind and let the ball go back into the 8-pin. Just drive through into the 8. Just like that. Great shot. You can see the look on his face was, wow, I'm glad that one's over with. Spare for the team, filling frames. And there's another look at it. You can see the ball getting both pins, which is ideal. Paul Moser, 49 years old, getting ready to go on the senior tour in September, and really looking forward to the opportunity to bowl with some of the guys he used to bowl with on the tour. I mentioned he's a former U.S. Open champion, and one other tour stop win, and this is another look at that last shot. Paul playing right around that 2nd arrow. Actually, when I asked him what are you looking at, he said the 11 board, and if he's looking at 11, he's probably hitting it. Paul Moser, a very accurate player, great arm swing.
That U.S. Open title coming back in 1976. 5th frame now for Abba, Treb De Fox, Don Scudder. A couple of spares. Thus far. Now we're finding the pocket.
I would expect that the ball, seeing it is going longer down the lane on lane 32 than it is on 31. In other words, it's not hooking quite as soon, that Abba would have an advantage here in this 2nd game. Plus, they started with a 21-pin edge in this 2-game total pin match. So I would think that the advantage would be theirs. Ed Roberts and his team need to really throw some strikes, and the left lane seems to be playing a little tougher.
Roberts picking up 20 of 40 in his match play effort. They go back in the pocket, 3 of 4 now for Ed Roberts.
And a great adjustment, trusted that ball a little bit, moved left with his feet, kept the ball between the 3rd and 4th arrow, and more ball speed, and trusting it. By that I mean he gave it a little more room to the right to come back. Got
right before qualifying.
Those Lynn shoes on, isn't it?
Dave Welage left those shoes back in his hotel room and had to make a mad dash back to the hotel to get them. Would not bowl with any other shoes. And he did make it back in time for qualifying.
Well, it's a darn good thing he did, because this guy can really bowl, and they need him out there. Now, tough spare, 3-6-10. See him going over after the ball at won't hook. Stand to the left on the approach, probably spot between the 3rd and 4th arrow. Try to get the ball between the 3rd and the 6th. Look at
It's going to tighten things up a little bit.
Here's another look at that shot. You see he's playing right between the 3rd and 4th arrow, trying to get the ball to skid into the 6th, but it doesn't do it. And he chopped the spare.
You're a winner, and you deserve recognition. In sanctioned leagues and tournaments, 2 million awards are handed out each year by the national governing bodies of bowling, the American Bowling Congress, the Women's International Bowling Congress, and the Young American Bowling Alliance.
But your membership card entitles sanctioned league bowlers to more than the awards program.
There's more than $1 million each for college scholarships and veterans hospitals, bowlers supporting their communities.
Every member has a chance to compete in thousands of special events, locally, nationally, and internationally.
Sanctioned leagues also provide for the standardization of rules and supplies, plus league prize money is bonded.
Equipment testing and research helps advance the sport.
Your membership card does all that.
And every lane is inspected annually by local association volunteers. In short, everything runs smoother and sanctioned leagues are a lot more fun.
So have more fun and help shape the future of bowling by making sure your league is sanctioned by the national governing bodies, the ABC, WIBC, or YABA.
Paramount with a chance to take the lead on their double as the lead is tightened to 4 pins. 4 frames remaining in our semifinal match.
And here we go, down to the last 5 frames. And Bob Hart, you might say one of the leaders on this team, needs to make a good shot. And he could really be an inspiration. Any kind of a mark, really, would be important here. A strike would be a bonus. A lot of ball speed here. And a great shot. And just bad luck there. That was really a well-played shot. Left the 7-pin. Ripped the rack. Here's another look at it. Bob using a lot of ball speed, a lot of loft. He's a big, strong guy. Watch the 5-pin slide in front of the 7, and that's just bad luck. And his reaction was, I had it. Come on, we really needed that one. Boy, it's just tough luck. Bob, all excited about this. He says, this thing going overseas, is this going to be telecast overseas? His wife's over in Korea or someplace in Asia. And I said, I don't think so, Bob. I don't think we're going to on the satellite.
19 of 20 spares in match play and another spare pickup. The lead is 4 pins. Under a mark, Abba, Treb De Fox, 7th frame, Rick Pollard. Pair of strikes and a spare thus far. 42% strikes in match play.
Oh, what a great shot, and an answering tap for him, and on an unbelievably good shot, especially in the situation. Chance to load it up for the team, and boy, solid 8. But what's important right now is to fill frames, get that spare. Strikes are hard to come by, that's pretty obvious, but you've got to get the spare. And you can see the ball driving so hard it just chops the 5-pin straight back off the 8.
Pollard on the spare, owner of 1 regional PBA title and 5-time Hoinky champion on the spare. 4 pins, as often here in the Baker system on the World Team Challenge. Earl comes down to action in the 8th, 9th, and 10th frames that determines the winner.
No question, and this is an opportunity to see if Keith Butt can strike here, how important would at the strike Bob Hart might have had been, since it would have been a double going to him. They would have had a 20-pin lead if he strikes here. Instead,
crossing. Oh, that's hooked down.
He can't believe it hooked that much, but it was a great shot. And again, the pressure starting to build. Players are really feeling it now. You can see the deep breaths, the puffed cheeks as they let the air out. And the audience is getting into it. They're all saying, wow, look how close it is there. You can see a lot of heads looking in the background up at the scoring units here. Spares. Make the spare.
Very nice on the 10. 5-pin lead for Abba, Treb De Fox as we move to the 8th frame for Ron Pollard. Pollard's 34. Youngest bowler to qualify for the ABC Masters in match play. Only 15 back in 1977.
I was bowling with him then. I was a lot older than 15. Well, we're down on the nitty-gritty, as you mentioned, Mike. We're down to the players. Ron wants to set it up for the guy at the bottom, and he did. Now it's going to be up to Pitre and, of course, Scudder. And we know what Scudder can do. Scudder's one of those guys that looks forward to this situation. Another look at that last shot. He's playing between the 4th and 5th arrow. Ball rolls up, sets up, and trips the 4. Great ball reaction, and a pretty good reaction out of Mr. Pollard there, too.
He was talking to the trees down there. Yeah. Oh, a nice comeback for Pitre and a double, or rather Stephen Dale and a strike.
You know, here's another look at that last shot, and this could have been 4 in a row for them with a little luck at all. And of course, both teams making good shots now when they really need to. It's amazing how these guys can pump up and get the concentration level to one more phase or step higher on the ladder. Big shot here. Lots of room. Oh my, well, you know, I'll tell you what. We've seen what these guys can do when they really have to perform, and that's why these are the best amateur bowlers in the country. They're bowling in the World Team Challenge under trying conditions. Here's another look at it. You can see him trusting the ball, playing just inside the 4th arrow, going out to about the 8 or 9 board. Just unlucky. You know, great entry angle. Looked like it was going to be a great shot. This spare is so important.
On top of it. Maintaining the 5-pin lead for Abba, Treb De Fox. We move to the 10th. Stephen Dale with that strike in the 9th frame set it up for Paul Moser. And with a strike, we'll have a lead change.
Well, Paul Moser with an opportunity to really do some damage here. And again, another very good player under pressure. Paul tends to throw the ball a little harder when he's in this kind of a situation. And you can see the feelings of the guys on the bench. Nobody wants to watch, and especially on the Pollard team, Abba, Treb De Fox, because they've had 3 seconds this year already.
Oh my, light 7th.
Well, Paul doing exactly what he wanted to do, throwing the ball extremely hard with very, very little revolution. Here, another look at it. Getting the ball well out in front of him. Look at the ball, barely turning over. Pick up a roll right at the end, right there, and starts to roll. And that's exactly the kind of ball reaction he wanted, because the longer he can skid it, the better, more control he has of the ball. Now the spare. Be careful. Well, that means Scudder needs a mark. Actually, a good count would probably do it, but the mark is what he needs, and we'll have that figured out here in just a second.
Well, we saw a single pin last week in Kansas City in the semifinal match.
And it's a terrible way to lose.
3-pin, now missed 7th pin. It's a 192 for Paramount, 382 total.
A lot of ball speed here. He's looking so hard, and that's Scudder. I mean, I'll tell you what, this guy is incredible when you need him, and that's a winner right there. Just a good count should be the winner, and you can see the team up on the bench. They're congratulating Don on doing what, hey, that's what we got you there for, big guy. You're the man in that situation, and you came through as you usually do. Nobody's perfect, but Scudder's pretty close.
And there it is. Abba, Treb De Fox will move on to face strike zone in our championship match. But first, we'll take you around the bowling world and be back with the championship match, the Heineken Open from Don Carter, Kendall Lanes.
Now it's time to go around the bowling world, brought to you by the High Roller Tournament Series. The 1997 American Scholarship Tournament opened with the help of several bowling luminaries, including all-time great Dick Weber, Team USA's Jerry Edwards, and Young American Bowling Alliance Executive Director Jim Zebahazy. Stonehenge Family Fun Center in Akron, Ohio is hosting the $50,000 scholarship event. There are 12 age divisions with competition through September 1st. For more information, call toll-free at 1-888-269-5278. The Women's International Bowling Congress recently held its Hall of Fame ceremony in Reno, Nevada as part of its 78th annual championships tournament. Carol Miller of Waukesha, Wisconsin, and Vallejo, California's Nikki Giannoulias were inducted to performance categories. Giannoulias later captained her Contour Power Grips Club to a share of the Classic Team lead. Brunswick World Team Challenge color analyst Jan Schmidt rolled a record 765 to move into the lead in the Classic Singles division. The 78th WIBC runs through July 12th at the National Bowling Stadium. The Association of College Unions International Championships were contested last month, also at the National Bowling Stadium in Reno. Aaron Walsh of West Texas A&M and Janet Puzinski of Erie Community College were crowned the ACUI All Events champions. Puzinski finished third with her American Strike team in this season's Brunswick World Team Challenge Women's Division event at Seminole Lanes in Seminole, Florida. Two prominent American Bowling Congress officials were recently named to the boards of directors of Bowling Inc. and Strike 10 Entertainment. ABC Assistant Executive Director Roger Dalkin was selected to represent ABC on the Bowling Inc. board. Newly installed ABC President Jerry Tessman was selected to the Strike 10 Entertainment board. Around the Bowling World has been brought to you by the High Roller Tournament Series. Call 800-257-6179 for entry information. The Brunswick World Team Challenge from Don Carter's Kendall Lanes in Miami, Florida returns with our championship match after these messages.
The Brunswick World Team Challenge is brought to you by the Silver Legacy Casino, proud host of the 1997 Grand Championships, August 24th through the 28th, with qualifying in the exciting finals at the National Bowling Stadium in Reno. championship match pits Abba, Treb De Fox, and Strike Zone. Strike Zone to lead it off. Leadoff bowler Eric Walker, 25-year-old Pro Bowler, 4 regional PBA titles.
And he can get it down there in a hurry. I tell you what, this young man can really zip it, and he likes to throw hard.
Almost gripped his teeth when he does it.
What a great way to start.
And they're off the bench in the first frame. This could be an exciting match. A lot of teams with a lot of emotion. Here's Dave Welage. 2 strikes, an open, and a spare in that first match. 395-382 winners over Paramount Industries. And Welage solid answering. And a quick smile for the rest of the team. The Contour Power Grip starting lineup for Strike Zone. Eric Walker, Joey Keel, Dave Pavilack, John Hilbert, and Jason Crespo. Coming up a bit high, Joey Keel.
The adrenaline, you can be sure, is flowing in all these young men right now, and they're really pumped up. It's just going to be a matter of whether they can maintain that and really stay pumped all the way through for this 2-game total pin match, because that's going to be their edge. If they have an edge at all, it's going to be the fact that they're really pumped and really want this badly. And those are the kind of mistakes that can be the death of you, basically, in this kind of a format, because the team they're bowling against is just outstanding. Treb De Fox has been here many times. We've talked about their 3 seconds, the 4th, the 3rd, and so on and so forth, which may sound like they're not winners, but believe me, these guys are winners, and they want to win this one badly.
And they would like to advance to the Silver Legacy Grand Championships coming up in August. Here's Rick Pollard.
Rick trying to take advantage of that open, and does, with a big double to start this thing off. The advantage definitely in their favor. There's no question that Abba Treb De Fox has an advantage, because not only of experience, but they've already won a match on the pair. They're familiar with what it's like to be out there. They're comfortable with the television lights and this big crowd looking on. These young men, no television experience at all in this team. Not once has any of these players, 5 of them, bowled on television. That's a big difference.
Qualifying averages, Strike Zone qualified at 197.9 and then moved up to 207 in the Baker. All the teams actually had better Baker qualifying averages, something of an unusual statistic, and excellent match play records. There's a field frame for Strike Zone. There's the big number, Strike Zone qualifying number 9, and then moving from 9th, big jump up to 5th in that second match, and then eventually taking over number 1. Abba Treb De Fox qualifying 2 from the 6th position, so a very close and exciting Baker match play. As we said earlier, only 98 pins separated 1 from 10. And 3 in a row, Ron Pollard. We'll be back with more of our championship match right after this.
I take the same route to the local pro shop. I wear the same boxers on every show. I watch the same TV program every week. I listen to the same CD every night. I eat the same thing on Wednesdays. I am the same man I used to be. I have a different ball for every lane, but they're all from the same company.
When it comes to making quality bowling shoes, no company does it better than Linz. And now Linz has designed an entirely new approach with the Classic Extra. The Linz Classic Extra offers the ability to change the sliding characteristics of both the sole and the heel, providing virtually unlimited options. If you find the approaches are a bit slick or tacky, the Classic Extra enables you to compensate by simply replacing the color-coded slide inserts. Don't settle for anything less than the best. Classic Extra from Linz.
4th frame, first of 2 games of the Baker system. Strike Zone, John Hilbert qualified at 210. 4th frame. His first opportunity. 4-5.
Not a bad opening shot, everything considered. Gave the ball a chance, just didn't quite get back to the pocket, but he left himself a reasonable spare. You see him switching bowling balls, and it'll be interesting to see how he shoots this. The best way, in my opinion, is down the left side with a lot of ball speed. Kind of like that. Let's see if he can hang on, but just skidded it right by. And opening mistakes, the opening jitters for this young team could be the difference in this match, because Abba Treb De Fox is not waiting around and giving them a chance to, just, hey, we're going to wait for you. None of that stuff's happening. They start with 3 in a row and a chance to really move out, and here's some money that's available from high roller people, Mike.
High Roller Tournament Series presents our high score bonus, and Abba Treb De Fox is taking a look at that. $240 and $450, $500 bonuses.
9 and a wiggle, and that Brunswick pin spotter will pick it up and put it right back down with a wiggle on it. So it won't be off spot. There's that little wiggle. You see it right there. Just slightly off spot, and that's because the pin hit it and nudged it over there. Shouldn't have any problem with the spare. And there's another Hall of Famer, huh?
And Paula Carter does some broadcasting for us as well, taking care of some color commentary on the Women's Division Brunswick World Team Challenge. 48 pins. The difference here early, after only 4 frames. Falling behind is something you just don't want to do against this Abba Treb De Fox team.
That's for sure. And here's our first look at the youngest player in the tournament. And watch this style, folks. The big high swing, gets all of his hand into it. Trust is a must, and boy, does he get it down the lane well. I'll tell you what, it's fun to watch him. It's great to watch him bowl because he's an exciting player. Here's a left-hander playing inside the 4th arrow, which you don't see very often, even on the PBA Tour. Even though they're capable of it, they don't usually have to. This young man finding a shot inside that he can play and keep the ball in play. And that's why he's bowling 5th, I guess.
Jason Crespo, a high school senior. Oh no, and 3 missed spares in the first 5 frames for strike zone.
Well, again, experience is so key, and bowling in front of the television cameras. Even though this is a long way from over, Mike, and it's very hard for these young men to get acclimated and feel comfortable. If you've never been there before, it's hard to concentrate well. Whereas Scudder and his boys have been there many times. They're very comfortable in this situation, and they aren't going to let up. They're going to keep the pressure on like that, and that's what it's all about. You don't give a team a chance to come back. You keep them down, you get them down, you keep them down.
59 pin lead after the first go round for Abba Treb De Fox. Stunned the crowd into silence at this point.
There's a look at Ronnie Belleteri, and he's definitely pulling for the kids, the local guys. This is the local, you might say, the favorites. All these kids from this area, Tamarack area.
In our first trip down here to Don Carter Kendall Lanes, we appreciate the support of Ron and his entire staff. It's a pleasure to come down. Exciting tournament, 72-team field.
Eric Walker trying to make a decision. Should I go get my spare ball or use my strike ball? I think he made the right decision. The strike ball, he wants to get the ball to deflect off the 2-pin and still have enough hook on the back to fit between the 7-8. See how he does it. No chance. And they are really struggling. And right now they're in a kind of a state of a shock. And even the audience, I think, is in the same situation. They were hoping these young guys could really do something, but oh man, that experience factor is such a big key. Next time they'll be better, no question about it.
And Welage pours it on. 5 of the first 6 for Abba, and 4 of the first 6 opens for strike zone. More of our championship matches coming your way here in the Heineken Open on the Brunswick World Team Challenge. Taking a look at the rest of our top 10, Greg Sports Cards made a show last year in Seminole, Florida, finishing 4th. B&S Bowling Supply from Wichita, Kansas, finishing 5th. H&B Ball Factory, Columbia, South Carolina, finishing 6th. Pokey's Pro Shop in the 7 slot. The Stable out of Fort Lauderdale, finishing 8th. Number 9, Rex's Hairstyling out of Lake Worth. And rounding out the top 10 from DeLand, Florida, Indy. More of our championship matches coming up next. Abba Treb De Fox, 81-pin lead.
I've basically used Contour Power Grips my whole professional career. I like the consistent feel they give me ball to ball. I use the oval thumb grip. That's my favorite product, and I'm going to continue to use it as long as I bowl professionally.
More top players use Contour Power Grips. You should too.
Absolute power corrupts. Abso-freaking-lutely! It's not enough to love the game. You gotta love to win.
Don't roll with the punches. Throw them.
Jeannie Nacarado, 3-time WIBC titleist and 1995 Brunswick World Team Challenge Grand Champion for Contour Power Grips.
I use Contour Power Grips because they add more revolutions to my game, which in turn helps me to score better.
Mike Jakubowski and Earl Anthony back with you here at Don Carter Kendall Lanes. We are in the 7th frame of our opening game here in this championship match. Joey Keel on the right keel for strike zone. Only their 3rd mark in 7 frames, but hopefully we can get them back on an even keel.
Okay, Mike. Well, maybe they finally got it together, regrouped a little bit. That first time through, once through the lineup is so important. And maybe by being down 81 pins, they'll relax a little bit, and maybe a mistake by Abba, Treb De Fox here or there. It's possible, you never know.
Come on, ball, come on.
Not an easy spare of the bucket. And again, the wry smile there. He thought he threw a pretty good shot, didn't quite get it back. Be interesting to see how he plays this. This is a very tough spare. A lot of ways to chop it and or hook by it. Remember, the middle of the lane is very touchy. Got it off the wall. Sometimes a little luck doesn't hurt. The reaction of his teammates, Dave Welage up there cooling him off a little bit. Another look at it. Watch the 2-pin go to the wall, come back, kick out the 8.
And with the count, the lead goes down to 77. 8th frame, Dave Pavilack.
Oh, there's so much time left. This could still turn around. You just never know. They need a few breaks just to get them loose, get them going. Talking about the young men on the strike zone team. You have to admire a team that would come out like that and put that kind of pressure on this young team also. Strike zone taking advantage, strike zone making mistakes and Abba taking advantage of it as champions would do. Generally in bowling, you make a mistake, the other team throws a double at you or something of that nature. And that's exactly what they did.
What can a player do, Earl, to overcome that nervousness that you get from your first time under a new circumstance?
You know, it's amazing how people react, and it's all in your mind, obviously. And some people are extremely good under that kind of pressure. They come right out and shoot a 250 at you. Other people go just the opposite way. They shoot 150, they can't handle it, they need to get acclimated and feel more comfortable, and it takes them a while. It doesn't mean you're any better or worse as a player as far as talent goes. It's just how you react in your mind. And there's no question that more appearances make you a better player. They make you more comfortable in front of the television cameras and, of course, the big audience that's here. And right now, those guys probably are tingling all over. They feel numbness in their knees and their feet, and they're not comfortable. They feel like they're awkward going to the foul line. They're not thinking well. All these things happen when you're under a lot of pressure. And of course, we've got a 25-second shot clock. I don't think these guys even know it's there because they're just getting up and firing. They're not taking any time at all. So that probably isn't a factor. But the thing that more importantly than anything else is the fact that they qualified first. They are the tournament leaders. They have a chance to win the championship. And I think when they came here, they would have been happy just to make the match play. Now, all of a sudden, they're the tournament leaders, and they feel all this pressure to win one match. And tell you what, the guy that's made the best shot so far is that 17-year-old anchorman. He just labeled it for a solid 7-pin.
Derwin Pitre in the 9th frame. And another double for Abba. Taking the lead to 90 pins. So we turn it over to Jason Crespo here in the 10th frame of our first game. Total pins will determine our winner. Jason, 17-year-old high school senior at West Palm Beach Forest Hill High School. Plans on looking at Florida State and entering college in the fall.
Watch how he uses his upper body strength. Opens up the shoulders in the backswing, gets the swing up very high, and then squares them up at the bottom at the foul line. Takes good timing. See how open up the shoulders are, and then he squares it back up. And he knew when he let go of that one it was going to hook early. He set it down early, and it didn't hold. He was kind of hoping it'd go Brooklyn, I'm sure. And a tough spare. The 2-4 for the left-hander. He wants to get both pins with the ball, but he'll take it any way he can get it, I'm sure. "17 years old.
Oh, almost got it out of the back.
Well, disastrous opening game here for the strike zone. And
that's 132 for strike zone.
They could be well over 100 pins behind here or more, somewhere in that 130. And you're not going to make that up. You're just not going to make up 120 or 30 pins. And Scudder's looking to really drive the nail in here. He's not going to let up. You can count on that. He's going to give this his best shot, knowing that it can turn around. Excuse me, Mike. Knowing it can turn around very quickly.
The high roller tournament bonus is still in play at 240.
This is 180.
Come on, Scudder.
Oh, look at Don. Look at his team is actually booing him. They're sitting. Oh yeah, we got Pollard turning around and giving us the neck shot there. He choked. He said he choked.
I don't know.
Well, those things happen. Here's the guy. Now, if they needed that strike, I guarantee you he would have hit the pocket. They probably told him, "Hey, this is for $500, Don." Oh, well, he got lucky and made the spare.
Clean fill will make it an even 100 pins after game one. It'll be a 232 for Abba with a strike. Pollard with Don Scudder with an impressive resume and an incredible 1996 in which he was part of the team all events champion as well as the singles champion. And we'll get a chance in our next segment to take a look at the winners of this tournament that just concluded.
Mike, good ball, Scudder, good ball.
And a 9 count makes 231 and a 99 pin lead. The American Bowling Congress tournament in Huntsville, Alabama just wrapped up, and we have winners for you. Our team winners: Dan Ottman Enterprises out of Troy, Michigan. Chris Jones pacing that team with a 722. Lodge Lanes, that team will be in the Silver Legacy Grand Championships. Our team all events winner, John Gaines, with impressive 2118. Booster team, Pinsetter Lanes, number 1. Chris Tedford pacing that club with a 614, 2883 total. Singles winner, John Socha from New Berlin, Wisconsin, with a record 847 in the singles division. Doubles, Rob Stuber and Paul Zilke out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin, 1464. And Jeff Riggles, a Central Wisconsin PBA regional player, 2241. Game 2 coming up next. 99 pin lead for Abba Treb De Fox. See if strike zone can get it going. Anything is possible in the Baker system. We'll be right back. Game 2 of our championship match from Don Carter, Kendall Lanes, just outside of Miami, Florida, where Abba Treb De Fox Pollard's Bowl with a 231 opening game has taken a 99 pin lead and will open in game 2. Total pins. We'll move on to the Silver Legacy Grand Championships coming up in August. Dave Welage crosses over, leaving the 6.
Any kind of a mark in each frame is all they're looking for. They don't care how they get them, just as long as they're spares and strikes here and there. They will go on to the championship. And you know, team bowling is what it's all about, in my opinion. That's what makes bowling exciting. And we talked about how Don Carter and the Budweisers were such a outstanding leader in that field. They set the 38-58 all-time record back in March of 1958, which was recently beaten. But you know, kind of a story that goes along with that, that's kind of interesting, was when Dick Weber joined the team. They had Billy Whaloo on the team. They dropped Whaloo, picked up Dick Weber, which is you know, both pretty good players. But the lineup at that time was Carter, Bluth, Pat Patterson, Tom Hennessy, and they put Dick Weber at anchor. And they're bowling in a tournament, and Weber says, "Hey guys, you know, I'm the new guy here, and I don't really want that kind of pressure. I don't want to be bowling 5th." And Hennessy turned to Weber and said, "Listen, we've got 4 guys above you. If it gets to you, we'll already have the tournament won, so don't worry about it."
That's confidence.
That's confidence. So Hennessy flat told him, we're going to have this thing won before it gets to you, so don't worry about it.
And we're going to round out the field at the Silver Legacy Grand Championships with sold-out events at Country Club Lanes in Baltimore and Princess Lanes in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We'll round out the regular season. 22 regional qualifiers will join a field of international teams at the Silver Legacy Brunswick World Team Challenge Grand Championships to be contested at the National Bowling Stadium in Reno for the second time we've been there. And also the season, our 6th, will open up in September at Hollywood Bowl in Portland. And for information on how to get your team involved in the Brunswick World Team Challenge, open to ABC members, 423-3387, area code 414.
And here's a look at what these players are bowling for. Of course, the Brunswick bowling balls that each player would get, the Lynn Extra shoes, which I happen to wear. I think they're outstanding, and a lot of other players do too. And of course, the keepsake championship rings, which are just beautiful, and I'd sure like to have one of those, but I don't think I'll ever win one, do you?
Well, you bowled on a team in Baltimore last year that just missed match play, didn't you?
Yeah, and it was my fault. But anyway, as you can see, they're beautiful rings, and all the prizes, plus the money, plus the trip, and the chance to be the world champions of team bowling. And can't beat that.
And we've got some dead wood down on the lanes while we get things straightened out on the lanes and reset that spare. We'll refresh you that Abba Treb De Fox defeated Paramount Industries 395-382 in our semifinal match. And we've got things straightened out now. And took a 99-pin lead after game 1 here against Strike Zone in our championship.
Well, he doesn't leave anything back, does he? I mean, he lets it all go.
Doesn't leave anything in the bag and picks up the spare.
Four-time PBA regional champion. And I asked him if he was planning to go on the tour. He said, well, I bowled a few tournaments, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but he really likes to bowl, and he's obviously got some talent.
Rick Pollard for Abba. Treb De Fox. Solid strike.
Well, they're all relaxed and making it look pretty easy. All but Scudder. Scudder's the guy that cost him $500 in the 10th frame. We're going to remind him of that, aren't we? We'll talk to Don about that after.
I think we'll be in line behind his team that are going to be reminding him all the way out to the car.
Well, I'll talk to him about that when we get done here. Just pick on him a little bit.
Joey Keel, mixing for the strike.
Joey's made a couple of good shots. He seems to be a little more relaxed than the rest of the guys. And as I mentioned, this is very good experience for these guys. They're going to really, here's another look at that shot, but they're going to end up learning a lot here and being able to handle this a lot more in the future. A little light in the pocket, got the good pin action.
And there's Keel. He owns the pro shop over at Don Carter Lanes in Tamarack, also here in the Miami, Florida area. Ron Pollard crosses over for a double for Abba Treb De Fox.
Yeah, Ron giving it that, oh, well, I can't, you know, I'll take it, what the heck. If I have to.
Well, we still have a shot at the high roller bonus for Strike Zone. They got a strike to work with here, Dave Pavilack. Strike Zone yet to double in this championship match. And a washout.
And a washout. So 1, 2, 4, 10, and things just aren't going their way. He felt he made a pretty good shot there, and the ball just didn't finish for him. The boys checking the score sheet, and you can see the look of disappointment and wonder on their face. How did we do this? How did we get in this situation where things just aren't going right? Got a chance. Too much hook there. Abba Treb De Fox will be going to Reno, and they will be a team to be reckoned with.
Joining a very, very interesting field, as all of the winners of our regional tournaments will move on to the Silver Legacy Grand Championships. Derwin Pitre, 3 in a row for Abba Treb De Fox, 2 coming on the cross. And there's a look at Paul Bowler, ABC director for this area. ABC directors are responsible for a certain district within their state. And Paul is one of a couple of ABC directors here in Florida. Approximately 100 in the United States. And it's sure good to see him here at Don Carter Lanes. John Hilbert in the 4th period, game 2, and back-to-back washouts. Nothing going right for Strike Zone, unfortunately, for them.
Well, right now, I think the key thing on their mind is just get this over with and get out of here. When they get back and get a chance to analyze their performance, they're going to say, hey, we bowled good. You know, we proved that we're capable of being there. We just need a little more experience, a little more chance to perform in this situation, a little money for the pressure. But they did play well to lead the tournament. They are the tournament leaders, and I can't take that away from them.
There's a little something to smile about, a good break.
Bounced it out of the pit. Here's another look at it. Watch the head pin. Go back, kick off the 8, and come across. Head pin did all the damage. Knocked out the 10. That brought a smile to their faces, but it's not going to do the job. Don Scudder.
Playing a little more inside there.
That lane hooks a little more for all the players, it would seem, and Don struggled on that lane in the first game of the opening match when he had one ball that didn't come back. The next one he threw and crossed over the Brooklyn side. Only the 2-pin. He's missed one of these once probably in his life. I wouldn't bet on that either.
Scudder on the spare.
It's falling apart out there. He dropped his Heineken. How can he do that?
Of course, we're here at the Heineken Open on the Brunswick World Team Challenge. We'd like to thank Heineken for their support. Another look at Jason Crespo, only 17 years old.
Let's watch this arm swing now. Watch how he opens his shoulders up, and he's playing way inside. You don't very often see the lefties playing this deep. So shoulders open up and a tremendous rotation. Boy, does he get a lot on the ball. Another solid 7-pin.
Jason just recently won the $10,000 UVA Classic Championship.
Here it comes right into your living room. Look at the rotation at the bottom. You can see him coming around the side, lifting through the middle of the ball as he comes up the side. That's what gives him all that roll. He's not spinning the ball, he's rolling it.
And the UVA down here in Florida is the Ultimate Bowlers Association.
Well, he made this 7-pin. Last time he kind of missed it to the right, but again, the players having a good time. That's what it's all about.
Big lead for Abba Treb De Fox. We'll be back to wrap it up after this. David Welage, 72% strikes in match play. That's pretty nice on top of the order. 29 of 40 attempts striking in the match play. And there's another one for Welage. Final 5 frames from Don Carter Kendall lanes here at the Heineken Open. 20th regional qualifier is going to be Abba Treb De Fox, and they'll move on to the Silver Legacy Grand Championships. So Eric Walker gets another chance to perform for this very nice crowd assembled here at Don Carter Lanes. 60% strikes.
I'd like to see Eric get that ball a little more under control. You see he's off balance at the foul line. He's overthrowing it a little bit. If that's what makes him comfortable, I guess that's what's good. But it's awful hard to have play a variety of angles with a variety of releases if you are that much off balance at the foul line. He's a good athlete, no question about that. Just needs to back off a little bit on the ball speed, control the ball a little more.
You didn't used to throw the ball like that?
Never in my life. I'd be in the hospital. But you just don't have that much control when you're almost basically, that'd be like a baseball pitcher throwing as hard as he could every time. You're not going to throw very many strikes.
Rick Pollard with a pretty good day.
Rick always seems to have a pretty good day. He and his brother Ron, both great players, with great ABC records. And, I talked to them a little bit earlier. They said they were Coal Bowlers of the Year in their hometown, which has 100 teams. I said, well, who bowled it? They said we did.
And a double for Abba Treb De Fox in the 7th. Still alive for the 240 game and the high roller TV bonus. You need a 240 to pick up $500.
Well, I blew it again, Mike. I had an opportunity to be on that team. Of course, they wouldn't have made the TV show if I'd have been on the team. Rick called me up and says, Earl, you want to bowl with us in Florida? And I said, no, I don't think so. And, oh, well, there's a man we all know and love.
Dick Heavens on hand, ABC PBA Hall of Famer. Retired from Miami Herald, still does some writing for them occasionally. Got some nice coverage in the Miami Herald, covering the World Team Challenge and bowling for many, many years here in South Florida.
He's done a lot of good work for bowling all over the country. With articles and things of that nature, but especially now that he's kind of retired, he travels a little bit with the senior PBA tour, and we really enjoy having him out there. And Dick, of course, with his knowledge and his experience, has helped us a lot getting the kind of publicity we'd like to get.
Aren't you going to be bowling at some of those events pretty soon?
I sure am, starting the end of the month. Start right there where I'm living, in Oregon area. Looking forward to it. These guys aren't letting up, and they're doing it the right way. They're just going to continue to keep the pressure on and they're very happy right now. They really wanted to win this one badly. We're talking about the Abba Treb De Fox team. They got a team here that's young and talented, but just needs to learn a little more. And once they do, they're going to be very hard to defeat. Right now, they're very uncomfortable out there in front of the television cameras, and as I mentioned, this big live audience here at Kendall Lanes.
Pavilack with a 2-4-10, pair of spares, and a washout here in the championship match. Strike zone just not being able to get anything going.
You know, it's we also have to look at the fact that 450 is available right now, and that's a little high roller bonus.
That's right. 240 would be 500, and that would also be approximately a 470 total, which would qualify them. So this is about $1,000 riding here in the 9th frame.
I wonder if they're going to get it down to Scudder again and give him another shot.
I can tell you what happens if you give him a second chance.
Yeah, that's right. You don't need to give him very many opportunities. If they carry a few more of those, it'll be over just like it was for Weber. Before it gets to them, they won't have to worry about it. They'll have it all taken care of.
You can shoot 269 here. Which would be plenty for that $1,000 in high roller money, 500 on the game and the series.
That's 200 a man to go gamble in Reno with. That's what it's
right.
all about. See, that's what they're looking for. Go out and buy a couple of cases of Heineken's and go to Reno. Double your money, right?
As long as you get to ride in the van with our lighting director, Jacques Yard, on the way out there.
That's right. Short stop at home up there in New Mexico in the mountains. Well, this match, mercifully for the strike zone team, almost over, and here's Don Scudder, and I'm sure that he's already gotten a needle from his teammates about what he did last time he had a try at 500 here on lane 32. He's talking to he's talking to himself, the bowling ball, and his teammates over his shoulder a little bit.
A mark would get him the 450 series. He'll need a strike to pick up that 450 series bonus.
240 game. He's a lock with a mark, right? That's correct.
There it is.
Oh my. They fell down because they were tired. They didn't fall down because he knocked them down. They fell down because they were tired. Here's another look at that. Now, this is the 5-10 standing here, folks. That means this ball isn't overhitting. Let me tell you what. The 5-pin fell because something went by and the wind knocked it down. And look at Donnie. Here's another look at it. Watch this. So watch the 5-pin. He just barely touched it. And here comes the 3-pin, or the 6-pin out of the channel and laying on the 10. That's called the love tap.
Those ABC champions get all the breaks.
If he'd have left that 5-10 standing there, I'll tell you what, his teammates would have never let him forget it.
Yeah, and on the opposite side of the bench, we have a portrait, a vivid portrait of victory and defeat and strike zone, wondering what's it going to take.
A little high mom there. Well, Don Scudder, he's redeemed himself now. Even though he had the 5-10 standing, we're going to kid him about that too.
That's a 258 game. That'll earn him $500, and the series is good for $489, and another $500, extra $1,000 in bonus money for Abba Treb De Fox, courtesy of our friends at the High Roller Tournament Series. As Jason Crespo finishes things up for strike zone. Local team, 4 players. They picked up Jason on Friday right before the tournament and made it all the way to the tournament leader position. Unfortunately falling here to Abba Treb De Fox by a large margin.
See if the young man can get a double before we're all over here. Trusted it. Oh, yeah. There it is.
We'll be back to meet Abba Treb De Fox, who will move on to Silver Legacy Grand Championships when we return to Don Carter Lane.
You're a winner, and you deserve recognition. In sanctioned leagues and tournaments, 2 million awards are handed out each year by the national governing bodies of bowling, the American Bowling Congress, the Women's International Bowling Congress, and the Young American Bowling Alliance.
But your membership card entitles Sanction League bowlers to more than the awards program.
There's more than $1 million each for college scholarships and veterans hospitals, bowlers supporting their communities.
Every member has a chance to compete in thousands of special events, locally, nationally, and internationally.
Sanction leagues also provide for the standardization of rules and supplies. Plus, league prize money is bonded.
Equipment testing and research helps advance the sport.
Your membership card does all that.
And every lane is inspected annually by local association volunteers. In short, everything runs smoother, and sanctioned leagues are a lot more fun.
So have more fun and help shape the future of bowling by making sure your league is sanctioned by the national governing bodies, the ABC, WIBC, or YABA.
The Brunswick World Team Challenge is brought to you by Brunswick. Bowling is sold on Brunswick worldwide. By Contour Power Grips, the pioneers of the finger grip industry. More pros use Contour Power Grips. You should too. By Keepsake, designer and manufacturer of championship ring awards. By Bud Light, proud sponsors of bowling. Make it a Bud Light. And by the American Bowling Congress and the Women's International Bowling Congress, providing championship service to sanctioned leagues across the United States. Make sure your league is sanctioned by the national governing bodies.
And here's our winners, Abba, Treb De Fox, and it's about time, don't you think, Ron?
Yes, it is. It couldn't be at a nicer place than Don Carter Lanes here in Miami.
No question about that, and you'll be going on to Reno for the championships, and this one was for Al, right?
Yep, that one is for Al.
Okay, and here to present the championship trophy is the general manager here at Don Carter Kendall Lanes, Ronnie Bellateri. Ronnie?
Well, fellas, on behalf of Don Carter's Kendall Lanes here in Miami and Heineken, which was our sponsor for the tournament, I'd like to present this plaque to you guys. And you end up making a great tournament out of it. We had a great turnout, and good luck when you get on to the next one. Appreciate it. Thank you, fellas. Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Well, you got to say congratulations also to the staff here at Kendall Lanes. They did an outstanding job, and don't forget to keep safe rings, the Lynn shoes, and of course the Brunswick bowling balls, and thank you very much.
The next Brunswick World Team Challenge telecast is a women's division event from Country Club Lanes in Baltimore, Maryland. Check your regional sports network listings for dates and times. For Earl Anthony, this is Mike Jakubowski. So long from Don Carter's Kendall Lanes in Kendall, Florida. This has been an ABC Eagle Productions telecast.